Welcome to the Deep Dive. You know how it is. Those rabbit holes of information you always want to explore. Well, we take those and kind of condense them into a quick but thorough journey for you.
That's right.
And today...
Today we're going all the way back to 1976.
To the aftermath of a rescue mission that, well, it gripped the whole world's attention.
The Israeli raid on Entebbe Airport in Uganda.
Entebbe. Now, if you're new to the Deep Dive and you like what you hear so far, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell.
Yeah, don't miss out.
We unpack all sorts of stories and events just like this one.
Fascinating stuff.
Our main source today.
It's a 2009 article
From the East African, titled Fallout Over Raid on Entebbe.
This article really digs into it. The international response, the chaotic aftermath, accusations flying around, alliances tested.
The world grappled with the implications of Israel's, well, bold move.
It's a story that even decades later still sparks debate. Heroism or a violation of international law?
We'll be exploring that question and many more as we uncover the ripple effects of this operation. Ripples that went far beyond the immediate rescue, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. Far beyond.
Okay, so picture this. 1976, an Air France plane, Tel Aviv to Paris, hijacked.
Hostages taken to Entebbe Airport in Uganda.
The hijackers, members of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine.
The PFLP.
They issue demands, tensions escalate.
And then, in a daring nighttime raid, Israeli commandos. They storm the airport, free the hostages, and fly back to Israel.
And the world, reeling.
And right at the center of this, Ugandan President Idi Amin. Furious.
Not just at Israel for the raid.
No, at several other countries, too.
He accused them of collaborating.
A full-blown conspiracy, he claimed.
So he wasn't just condemning the raid, he was alleging a conspiracy. What specifically did he accuse these countries of doing?
Amin pointed fingers at Kenya,
Hey.
saying they played a direct role in the operation. He even claimed a mobile operating theater was set up in Nairobi.
To treat Israeli casualties.
That's what he said.
Wow, that's a serious accusation. Was there any evidence to support this?
None whatsoever.
Yeah.
Kenya denied any involvement, vehemently. Their foreign minister, Dr. Munyua Waiyaki, initially reserved comment, but Vice President Daniel Arap Moi,
Yeah.
he didn't mince words. He refuted the charges directly at the Organization of African Unity Assembly.
The OAU.
That's right. And he called for the assembly to condemn Israel's actions, turning the focus back to what he saw as the real violation.
So you have this immediate clash of narratives. Amin claiming a conspiracy, Kenya denying it, and the OAU stuck in the middle of this diplomatic firestorm.
It's a mess, and it doesn't stop there.
Oh no.
This event triggered a wave of global outrage. UN Secretary General Kurt Waldheim
What'd he say?
declared it a flagrant aggression by Israel. And flagrant aggression, that's not just words, that's a specific term. International law.
Yeah.
Blatant and unjustified use of force against another state.
This is a serious charge.
Very serious.
So this wasn't just like a difference of opinion. This was a fundamental disagreement about whether Israel even had the right to carry out this raid on foreign soil, no less.
Exactly. Many countries sided with Uganda. They saw it as a dangerous violation of, well, sovereignty, a dangerous precedent.
I see.
Mauritius. They broke off diplomatic ties with Israel completely. And condemnations, they came pouring in from Thailand, Malaysia, many others.
Sounds like Israel was facing serious consequences. This wasn't just a military operation, it was a diplomatic earthquake.
It really was. Even France.
France.
Yeah.
But they had citizens among the hostages.
Right, they did. But even they issued a statement. They were dismayed. They said they were only informed of the raid after it was over.
Making it clear they weren't involved.
Not at all. They suggested maybe, just maybe, things could have been handled differently.
So Israel, after pulling off this incredible rescue, now facing all this criticism from the international community. But was everyone against them?
That's where it gets interesting. Amidst all the condemnation, there's this letter from a rescued hostage, Louise Kovitis.
No. What did it say?
She wrote to Amin, thanking him, expressing gratitude. She praised him for making sure she was okay during the hijacking.
Wait, while the world is condemning Amin, a hostage is thanking him. Now that adds a whole new layer to this whole thing.
It does, doesn't it? It shows how different people's experiences can be so drastically different from the dominant narrative.
I guess while world leaders were focused on the legalities and the politics, this woman was just focused on her own survival. and the kindness she experienced during a terrifying ordeal.
It's a powerful reminder. There are always human stories beneath the headlines, and sometimes those stories challenge our assumptions about right and wrong, good and bad.
Absolutely. And this is just one example of the many threads we'll be pulling on as we delve deeper into the fallout from the Entebbe Raid.
Oh, there's so much more to uncover.
Yeah.
It really shows you, doesn't it? The human side of things. Even when we're talking about big political events, international relations and all that, there are always real people caught in the middle.
Yeah.
Lives impacted directly.
Absolutely. You can get lost in all the diplomatic talk, legal arguments, but at the end of the day, it's about individuals, right?
Real people.
Facing these extraordinary circumstances.
And making choices. Choices that had big consequences.
Let's talk about those consequences. We talked about the international outrage, but why was this raid so controversial? On the surface, it seems, pretty straightforward. Country rescues its citizens. What made it so unacceptable to world leaders?
The big issue, the core issue, was the violation of Uganda's sovereignty. Israel went ahead and carried out a military operation on foreign soil without Uganda's consent.
Big no-no.
In the world of international relations, huge breach of international law, a dangerous precedent.
So it wasn't just the raid itself, it's the implications, right? Like how countries interact with each other. If this went unchallenged, would that mean countries could just attack each other whenever they felt like it?
That's the fear. Many countries worried that if this became the norm, it could destabilize, everything. The whole global order. Think about it. Any country, strong military, could just decide to intervene. No consequence.
Chaos.
Exactly.
It's like that saying, two wrongs don't make a right. Even if you understand why Israel wanted to save their people the way they did it, it created this whole other problem. Respecting international borders, the rule of law.
Absolutely. And to really get it, you have to understand the time. This was the Cold War. Tensions, U.S., Soviet Union, so high. And a lot of countries were caught in the middle. Any action that could, be seen as taking sides, escalating things, major concern.
So the raid wasn't just about the hostages. It was tangled up in the Cold War, too. Like every move has these consequences that just ripple outwards.
Precisely. And you see this in the reactions of different countries. We talked about France, concerned, even though they had citizens there, but they weren't the only one. Many countries were trying to walk a tightrope with their foreign policy. They didn't want to be seen as siding with either side too closely.
I see. So condemning the raid, was that maybe about, protecting their own diplomatic image?
Yeah.
As much as upholding the law, avoiding the crossfire.
Exactly. International relations, it's rarely simple, right or wrong. It's layers of complexity, competing interests, unintended consequences. The Entebbe raid brought all of that into the spotlight.
Amazing how one event can just, send these shockwaves through the world, like exposing those fault lines, forcing countries to reassess everything, sovereignty, use of force. It's like this raid opened a Pandora's box of diplomatic dilemmas.
It did. And as we keep digging, we'll see how those dilemmas played out in the weeks, months, even years after.
Okay, before we get too far ahead, let's go back to Idi Amin for a second. We talked about his initial reaction, the accusations. But what else did he do after the raid? It doesn't sound like he was just going to let this go.
You're right about that. Amin, he was a master at using things like this to his advantage, a showman, always provoking, and he wasn't about to let this go unnoticed. The world was watching.
So how do you play it? Just deflecting blame, or was there something more going on?
Oh, there was a strategy there. Beyond demanding compensation from Israel, he saw this as a chance to present himself as, a strong leader, principled, on the world stage. He knew everyone was watching Uganda, and he was going to use that.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How did he do that? Did he have some kind of PR plan or something?
It was deliberate, how he presented everything, the aftermath. He held a big public funeral for the Ugandan soldiers killed in the raid, highlighting their sacrifice. Heroes, defending their country from a foreign attack.
I see. So using the raid to rally support in Uganda.
Yeah.
Cast himself as a defender against a powerful enemy.
Exactly. And don't forget, Amin's power was never completely secure. He had opponents. He was always trying to tighten his grip. This raid gave him a chance to make Israel the enemy, unite the country against a common foe.
Clever. He's going from the guy who harbored terrorists to the victim of an attack. Did it work? Did people buy it?
Tough question. Amin, he did have a talent. Manipulating the media, controlling the story, master of propaganda, outrageous statements, actions to distract from his own, brutality, his regime's incompetence.
Was putting on a show, trying to control how the world saw him.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. He was always thinking about his image, domestically, internationally, and in some ways, the Entebbe Raid, it played right into his hands. The stage, the platform to look strong, defiant.
But that image, it was all carefully built, right? The raid also showed his weaknesses. He couldn't even control his own airport, let alone protect his country from a foreign military. So was this a win for Amin or a loss?
That's what's so interesting about all this. The raid, it was a double-edged sword for Amin. It let him play the victim, rally some support, but it also showed just how fragile his regime was. The limits of his power. History is rarely simple, isn't it?
It's messy.
Events, people, they can be heroic and villainous at the same time, inspiring and, well, reprehensible.